Hare Krishna. Can you hear my voice? Am I audible? Is my voice audible? Okay, let's start. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namini. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So thank you all very much for joining today's session. We have been discussing from the 10th chapter, the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The chapter is titled as King Rahugana Chastises Jadabharata. So in this chapter, we saw that I'll do a quick recap of what we have seen till now. So when Rahugana, who was a provincial king, he was the king of the Sindhu and the Sauvira province. Hmm. So when he was traveling on the bank of the Ikshumati river, they were running short of a palanquin bearer. I mean, they need replacements. When someone gets tired, he needs to be replaced. So at that time, they saw that Jadabharat was young. He was very well built, and so they thought, okay, maybe he would be suitable for carrying the load. So they forcibly engaged him to carry the palanquin. Hmm. And here, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti in the commentary says that a devotee is always very compassionately disposed towards everyone. He wants everyone to receive the mercy of Krishna, but uh, the packaging of that mercy is according to the qualification of the recipient. So he says that Jadabharata, when he saw that his own brothers were sort of more predominantly in Rajoguna, he showed his mercy by allowing them to take darshan of his form for a prolonged time. And when he saw that these dacoits were predominantly in Tamoguna, he allowed them to take darshan of his form, and at the same time he allowed them to be personally killed by goddess Kali. So that is the way he orchestrated the mercy. Because both these people, he understood, were not ready to accept and assimilate the knowledge that Jadabharata could give them. So he did not bother to give them any knowledge. But in the case of Rahugana, even though there was a slight manifestation of Rajoguna because of his taking the position of a king, he very clearly understood that here is a person who is in Sattva and who has sufficient Sukriti to hear my instructions on bhakti, or probably he saw that he already had some bhakti adhikar. So therefore he started speaking the knowledge. Okay. So we have always seen this before. Hmm. So what is preaching? Preaching means giving knowledge where there is faith, giving faith where there is no faith also. Okay. And giving knowledge only in proportion to the faith, in proportion to the amount of faith that the recipient has. This is actually preaching. Okay. Preaching does not mean dump whatever knowledge that you know about Krishna on that person. Okay. Okay. So, therefore, here, even though Jadabharata was so well, um, you know, he was so learned, so advanced on the level of prema, but he was not just eager to dump knowledge of Krishna on everyone. Okay. So when he saw the right recipient, he gave the knowledge. Otherwise, he just, uh, you know, showered his mercy in different ways. Okay. So that is what Very important commentary by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur here. And then he says that, okay, so now then Jadabharat started walking. He would watch the um, path ahead, and then when he was sure that there were no ants or insects, then he would jump. Ishumatra avalokana gati, it is mentioned. Hmm. Ishumatra avalokana gati means he he would walk, he would look at like about 3-4 feet ahead to see to ensure that there are no ants, then he would jump. Then again he would look for 3-4 feet, when there were no insects or ants, he would jump. So now the other three palanquin bearers cannot walk like that. They need a more regulated, synchronous stride. So when one person was acting like this, then the whole palanquin started rocking. And Rahugana noticed it and he shouted at them and he said that, "Hey, you fools, just why can't you carry the palanquin properly? Why is it rocking like this?" And they understood. Okay. There is Samadana, Beda, Danda, the four approaches to convince the person. Sama is speaking pleasant, conciliatory words, and Dana is to try to give some uh, bribe to convince that person. And the third is Bheda. Bheda means words to threaten the person and instill fear and get that thing done. So, and the fourth is Danda, direct punishment. So when the palanquin bearer saw that the king had directly taken up to the third, which is Bheda, when he started threatening, they understood that next time this happens, it is directly going to be punishment. There is no words would be spoken. So they understood that here is the fourth palanquin bearer is untrustworthy, and he doesn't look like a very sane person. So it looks like even after hearing the chastisement of the king, he may continue to walk like that only. So when they realized that, they started, they approached the king. They said that, my dear king, actually, the three of us are not inattentive or careless in carrying the palanquin. We have been properly following your orders. But this one man here, you see here, uh, he's so, he is so well built to carry the palanquin. He has strong limbs and all that. But still, if you see here, and it's not that he has been carrying the palanquin for a long time. We have just engaged him. We have just engaged him in carrying the palanquin. Still, he is not walking properly. Okay. So if we carry with him, if even one person is, because it's a teamwork, if one person is not doing his job properly, then the whole uh, team's contribution is compromised. So we will not be able to carry with him because he's whether he is purposefully doing or what, we do not know, but he is not carrying it properly. So the king understood, oh yes, this is teamwork. And if three are good and if one is bad, then the whole team's contribution is compromised. So he understood this. So he became little angry because of his nature and he fell under the control of that anger. Hmm. He spoke to Bharata, whose great position, either from a Varnashram perspective or from the devotional perspective, could not be seen. Okay. So he was a Brahmana according to the Varnashrama principles, and ideally a king should not be speaking like that to him. But neither the king nor the palanquin bearers could clearly see his position because he kept himself very unclean. The body was covered by dust, and the Brahmin thread became so soiled that it was invisible. It almost the color of the Brahmin thread merged, it camouflaged with the color of the body. So they could not notice the Brahmin thread. And his Brahmin effulgence was also covered by all the dust and all of that that was covering his body. So neither Rahuguna nor the palanquin bearers could actually identify the position of Bharat Maharaj from a Varnashram perspective, and also from a devotional perspective. Uh, you know, they could not identify. So, uh, as Srila Prabhupada says, that a fool cannot be identified unless he opens his mouth. So the same way, a great person cannot be identified unless he opens his mouth. So here was Jadabharata just keeping quiet. He had not spoken anything till then. So they could not understand his position. So in a very sarcastic uh, tone, Rahuguna spoke to Jadabharata, which was inappropriate actually. So in this case um, about Rahugana, it is mentioned that he was actually in mode of goodness. He was actually in mode of goodness, but he has to play the role of a king. So he showed some Rajoguna because of that. So he said, "Oh, my dear brother, it is very clear that you are very tired." Actually, he was not. And you have traveled a long path. That is also not true. And for a long time, you alone are carrying the palanquin. That was also clear sarcasm. Okay. And you are not healthy. No, he was very clearly healthy. You don't have strong limbs. He very clearly had strong limbs. Okay. And you are so old, you see, it is mentioned he was very young. He was young. So all of that was sarcasm. He wanted to, because sometimes, you know, more than direct chastisement, using harsh words, sarcasm can be extremely painful. Okay. Sarcasm is the most painful form of um, abuse, verbal abuse. Uh, So when you use words which seem to praise you, but you mean exactly the opposite, and that opposite meaning is very clear through your tonal uh, modulation. Okay, through your tonal modulation, the other person can understand that even though the words convey something, but your tone conveys exactly the opposite. Okay, so uh, so Rahuguna, by speaking in sarcastic terms, he wanted to really inflict pain in Jadabharata, because through inflicting that pain, he really wanted to understand that he should not be messing with the king. Hmm. He should not be messing with the king. You know, you're you're not uh, you're not dealing with an ordinary person. You're messing with the king. Okay, and in public place, if the king allows an ordinary citizen to uh, you know mistreat him, then all the other citizens will start mistreating him. So right now, it is very important that Rahuguna chastises. So his action is very much justified in one sense. As a king, he has to act like that, because the subjects should have respect towards the king. They should follow his order. If they don't have respect, they will not follow his order. And if it's a dharmic king, and if the citizens don't follow the king, then dharma will not be protected. It will not be established. Okay. So and so therefore, Rahuguna's action is very justified action as an ordinary citizen, and also as a Shudra. Okay. Which is which is what they thought Rahugana was. Sorry, Jadabharata was. So it was his responsibility to follow the instructions of the king. The king is the undisputed master. So therefore, Rahuguna chastising Jadabharata is not wrong. It is perfectly fine. Uh, in terms of dharma, it is not wrong. The only problem was that he was actually not a Shudra, he was a Brahmana. But what would they do? Jadabharata did not live like a Brahmana. Okay. Even though his Brahma Tejas was there, but it was clearly covered by all the dirt and everything. They could not even notice his Brahmin thread because it had camouflaged with the body color. So Rahuguna's action was very much appropriate. Ideally, any king should have chastised like that. Huh? Should have chastised like that. So, so he spoke like this, huh? and and even though he spoke like this, Jadabharata actually continued to. He was not at all disturbed by those words. He continued to carry the palanquin as he had done before. Huh? Hmm. And he was because he was not covered by the false conception of I and mine in his uh, Swacharama Kalevare. Swacharama Kalevare can be split as Swacharama Kalevare, which means his material body. Okay. But in reality, Jadabharata did not have a material body. So therefore, it was not Swacharama Kalevare. It is Su Acharama Kalevare. Acharama means that which is not uh, that which is not made of matter. It is spiritual. And Su means very auspicious. Su Acharama Kalevare. Hmm. And which is Avidyaya Rachita can be split as Avidyaya Rachita, which in which case it would mean that body which was made of which was produced as a byproduct of avidya, or avidyaya rachita can mean avidyaya arachita, means not made out of it is not manifested due to avidya. So in his case it was avidyaya arachita su acharama kalevare. Okay. Otherwise, from a very external perspective, it may look like avidyaya rachita swacharama kalevare uh, anadhyaropita aham mama iti, which would mean a normal person would read it as, oh, because Jadabharata was exalted, he did not have I and mind consciousness towards his material body, which was created by avidya. This would be the normal understanding. But this understanding does not apply to Jadabharata because he did not have a material body. Okay. So therefore, the Sandhi or the phrase splitting should be different. He says, Avidyaya arachita su acharama kalevare. Hmm. So he had a body, he had a spiritual body which was not made of Maya. It was not a byproduct of Maya. It was real and it belonged to Vaikunta. Okay, so he did not get affected by the harsh words, sarcastic words spoken by Rahuguna. Okay, so so though he was abused, he remained silent and continued to carry the palanquin. Okay, okay, and here it is said actually Bharata, like Shukadev, had a spiritual body which was not destructible; it was eternal. Because of the arousal of prema at this time, he actually did not have possessiveness for anything except the Lord. However, because of not attaining direct service to the Lord in that body, at that moment, he manifested humility produced from increased longing and therefore did not want to offer his sense of I to the Lord. Hmm. Because of this, Bharat Maharaj made a show of having a material body, even though he was full of knowledge. Okay. So then we saw, okay, this is where we ended our discussion. So now let's continue. Uh, we will cover a few verses and I will have about 15 minutes for maybe discussion because I have I am in Mumbai. Radha Gopinath temple. So I wish to go and attend the morning Bhagavatam class there. So exactly by 8, 12, 8:13, I'll complete today's session. After that, Radha Pramod Prabhu will take over. Okay. So, Ata Punaha Swashibikayam Vishamagatāyam Prakupita Uvacha Rahugunah. Kimidam are tvam jivan mruto mam kadarti kritya bhartrishasanam aticharasi pramattasya cha te karomi chikitsam dandapaniriva janataya yata prakritim swam bhajishyasa iti. So he says, Ata thereafter, Rahuganaha swashibikayam vishamagatāyam. When again Rahugana noted that his palanquin started rocking, Prakupita Uvacha, with great anger he spoke, Aretvam, O you fool, Kimidam, what are you doing? Jivan Mritaha, are you a dead body? Huh? Even though living, why are you acting like a dead body? Are you not understanding what I am speaking here? Huh? Are you not understanding what I am speaking? Hmm. Mam kadarti kritya bhartru shasanam aticharasi. By disregarding me, you are not carrying out my order. Hmm? By not carrying out my order, you are disregarding me, your master. Pramattasya chate karomi chikitsam. For your inattentive behavior, I have a good medicine. Yata dandapanihi janataya iva. Just as Yamaraj punishes the people in general, I have a medicine for your inattention. Prakritim swam bhajishyasa iti. So that you will come back to your senses. Now I will give you such a medicine by which you will come back to senses. Okay, like that he was threatening, literally. He was threatening Jadabharata. Mm. So, mm, so then he says, Shukadeva Goswami continues, Evam bahu abaddamapi bhashamanam naradeva abhimanam rajasa tamasa anuviddena madena tiraskrita ashesha bhagavat priyaniketam panditamaninam sa bhagavan brahmano brahmabhuta sarvabhuta suhrudatma yogeshwara charyayam na ati vyutpannamatim smayamana iva vigata smaya idam aha. So he says, evam, in this manner, bahu abaddam api bhashamanam. The king spoke incoherently. Naradeva abhimanam, thinking himself a king. Panditamaninam, and thinking himself learned. So in this manner, the king spoke incoherently, thinking himself a king and thinking himself learned. Tiraskrita ashesha bhagavat priyaniketam. Tiraskrita, by chastising Ashesha Bhagavat Priyaniketam, the perfect devotee, the abode of great love of the Supreme Lord. Why was he doing it? Rajasa Tamasa Anuviddena Madena. Out of pride combined with passion and ignorance, he was speaking like this. Okay. But Sa Bhagavan Brahmana, but the powerful Brahmana Bharata, Smayamana Iva, with a slight smile, Vigata Smaya. So Smaya Smaya. Smaya means smile. Smaya also means pride. Hmm. So Smayamana Iva, it seemed as if he was smiling, but Vigata Smaya, uh, Vigata Smaya, without any pride. So that smile was not filled with pride. Hmm. Oh, you are talking to me like this. Hmm. You know how knowledgeable I am? Sometimes thinking in that way, people smile. So that smile is filled with pride. But this was a smile which was Vigata smile. Hmm. This was a smile which was devoid of pride. This was devoid of pride. He did not have any pride when he was smiling that way. Idamaha, he then spoke to the king. Yogeshwara Charyayam na ati vyutpannamatim. He spoke to that king who did not know much about the conduct of a great yogi. Sarva Bhuta Suhridatma, and a person, he did not know the conduct of a great yogi who was um, a friend of all beings. Brahma Bhuta, and he was at the stage of Brahma Bhuta. He was situated in Brahman. So he did not know how to properly deal with such an exalted personality. And Jadabharata smiled at him, but that smile was not filled with any pride. Uh, that smile did not indicate pride. So Abaddam means incoherent. Anuviddhena means mixed with. The king had criticized the perfect devotee. Bharata was the very form of being the friend of all beings. This means that he was merciful even to those who offended him, which means he is going to show some mercy to Rahugana. The king thought that he was learned. He had little knowledge, but he thought that he knew everything. The king did not know much about the conduct of the great yogis, such as acting dull. He could not see that here is a great personality who was just acting as if he did not know anything. He was dull, dumb, deaf, etc. So then he says, so Bharata smiled, thinking, the king thinks he is a jnani, but he speaks like a fool. Now, this statement sounds like filled with pride, but that is why it is mentioned Vigata Smaya. So, Bharat Maharaj smiling is more like when a child speaks big, big things while not knowing much. So, when an elder person sees that, uh, he smiles, but that smile is not out of pride. Uh, you don't want to show your, um, panditya. You don't want to show your knowledge in front of a child. How learned you are in front of a child. So it was that kind of a smile. It was that kind of a smile. It was not filled with pride. So Eva indicates that the smile did not manifest externally. Oh, Eva means the smile did not manifest externally, which means he was only internally smiling. Bharata was without pride in being a jnani, so he did not have any pride. So Jadabharata is now going to speak to Rahugana. For the first time, he is going to speak. Brahmana uvacha त्वयोदितं व्यक्तमविप्रलब्धं भर्तुः समे स्यात् यदि वीरभारः गन्तुर्यदि स्यात् अधिगम्य मध्वा पीवेति राशौ न विदां प्रवादः. So Jadabharata says, O Veera, O king, Tvaya uditam vyaktam avipralabdam. This is Jadabharat hitting back. My dear king, whatever you have spoken is clearly without deceit. While it was full of deceit, okay, while it was full of deceit, Jadabharata is telling that actually, my dear king, what you have spoken is clearly without any deceit. Okay, it is clearly without any deceit, he says. Okay. So he is also using some sarcasm here. Huh? He is also using some sarcasm here. He says clearly without deceit. I don't see any deceit. Yadi bartuhu barah same syad, only if the burden of the carrier belonged to me, yadi adva, or if the destination adigamyam and the path of the traveler same syad belonged to me, would your statements be sarcasm? So he says, uh, Jadabartha says, I don't think that your statements are sarcastic. Hmm? You say that I am not very stout, I am not very healthy, you know, I'm, you know. So those statements are sarcasm only if I was the body. Hmm. But they don't belong to me. Huh? Only if the destination um, and the path of the traveler belong to me, would your statements be sarcasm? So I think your statements are without deceit. I don't see any deceit in your statements. They are fair, fair enough. Okay. And then he says, uh, Piva iti rasho, but you said that I am well nourished or I am not well nourished. He says, Na vidam pravadaha. It is not the talk of a person in knowledge. We are talking about me addressing my body. A learned person does not address the self as the body or the body as the self. So, I mean, now it's not like what Rahuguna did was a serious mistake. Uh, he's a king. He's playing the role of a king. Now, a king cannot speak in terms of body and soul. Okay. The king cannot, especially to the palanquin carriers. Uh, They cannot say that, oh, you're not this body, you're the soul. Uh, he cannot speak like that because he has a um, responsibility to maintain some kind of a social order. And that whole social order is created based on the body only. So he has to act on the platform of body. And that's what he was doing. Jadabharata, not that Jadabharata is not sympathetic to Rahuguna's position and role, but Jadabharata wants to raise Rahuguna to a higher position. Uh, Jadabharata wants to raise Rahuguna to a higher position. Okay. So this is like a teacher who is seeing a student not so intelligent, not so well prepared, not so confident, scoring about 30, 35 marks out of 100 in the exam. And he says, this is all useless. You should score 99. And the child is like, 99? You know, are you even sympathetic to, you know, what I am, where I am currently in terms of my preparation, in terms of my knowledge? So, not that the teacher is not sympathetic and not understanding what, uh, not understanding the position of uh, the student, but the teacher is seeing the potential of the student and pushing him to work to attain 99. So, it is not like Rahuguna, it's not like Jadabharata is having absolutely no empathy towards Rahuguna's position. He understands. But still he says, don't stay there. I want to pull you to the level of transcendence. So you will see in this conversation, at least in the early part of the conversation, there will be two very distinct uh, talks. Jadabharata will be speaking on the level of transcendence, unwilling to step down, and Rahuguna will say, "Ray, please, can you please come to my level and explain?" And Jadabharata is like, "I will not come to your level. I will pull you to my level." So, one long time back, I have heard one uh, Sri Vaishnava speaker, very powerful, famous speaker, uh, and his father was also a great Krishna Katha exponent. Okay, so he was telling about his own father. Okay, so the father was once approached by maybe a reporter or someone, and he asked, why don't you make your talks more appealing to the general public? Why does it have to be so heavy? Why can't you make it more appealing to the general public? Maybe you could speak some jokes, give some contemporary examples, like that. So he said, in that way, more people can hear your classes and, get benefited. So the devotee said, I could do that, but I don't wish to do that because uh, there are two ways of addressing. One is I go to their level and keep speaking at their level, or I speak at my level and try to pull them to my level. Okay. So he said that I try to do the second thing. Okay. I try to do the second thing. Rather than diluting what I do, I keep speaking at my level and try to pull the audience to that level. Okay. And in doing that, some people may not be able to come and they may leave. And he said, that is fine. That is fine. So here you will see Jadabharata, Rahuguna will be pleading, "Arey, look at me, please have some sympathy on me, some empathy. I have to act on the bodily platform. You know, uh, you know." And Jadabharata will say, "No, you are not the body, you are the soul. You are not the body, you are the soul." That will be like this is a very interesting conversation between Rahugana and Jadabharata. So directly he starts speaking about the difference between body and soul. So he says that I do not, or Rahugana, I don't accept. I don't think that you have spoken any of your statements are filled with deceit. Huh? They are not deceitful words actually. Hmm. Only if the burden of the carrier belonged to me, if the destination and the path of the traveler belonged to me, only in that case your statements would be statements of sarcasm. But one thing, you said that I am very well nourished and all that. These are not the words of a person who is very of a person who is actually um, very intelligent. An intelligent asochan anushochastam prajnavadamscha bhashase gatasun agatasumscha nanushocanti panditaha. So he says that an intelligent person, you are speaking like a learned person, O Arjuna, but a learned person does not lament for the loss of the gross body or the subtle body or the soul. Uh, But you are speaking very much like a very learned person, but you are lamenting for that which is not fit to be lamented upon. Uh, So that's what he says. So here he says, Srila Vishwanath Jagadagur says, I will show mercy to this person who thinks that he has knowledge by defeating him with knowledge. Not that Jadabharata wanted to show his, you know, knowledge to him, but he wanted to defeat him so that he can give him some mercy. So this is expressed by contrary statements. You have said that I am not tired and I have not come a long way. That is not incorrect. It is not sarcasm. If the burden of the palanquin carrier belonged to me, then it would be sarcasm. But since I am different from my body, I am not the carrier. If the destination of the traveler or the path of the traveler belonged to me, then it would be sarcasm. And calling me well nourished belongs to the body of the living entities. Piveti rashau na vidam pravadah. Hmm? It is not the talk of persons in knowledge. It is true that I am well nourished, but for me as a conscious soul, it is slander. I am well nourished spiritually. But the way you are using that word, it is actually a slander because I am not the body. I am the spirit soul. Staulyam karsham vyadaya adayascha kshutrad kalidiccha jaracha nidraratirmanyuraham aham madashucho dehe najatasya himena santi. Strength, thinness, sickness, anxiety, hunger, thirst, fear, dissension, desire, old age, sleep, attachment, anger, false identity, illusion, and lamentation belong to a person born with a body. They do not exist for me. Say they belong to a person born with a body means it's not that Jadabartha was not born with a body. So it means it belongs to a person who is born with a body and identifies with that body as the self. That's what it means. So they belong to a person who is born with the body means it belongs to a person who is born with a body and identifies with that body as the self. That's what it means. Okay. So, so here he says, not only am I well nourished, but no bodily quality belongs to me. One who is born with a body, the jiva who identifies with the body, certainly has all these qualities. I do not, since I do not identify with the body. Hmm. And then Rahuguna addressed Jadabharatas Jivan Mrita. You are a living dead person. You are a living dead person. He says, Jivan Mritatvam Niyamena Rajan Adyantavadyad Vikritasya Drishtam Swaswamya Bhavo Dhruva Idya Yatra Tarhyuchate Sau Vidkritya Yoga. O Rajan, O King, Jivan Mritatvam. You have said that I am living but dead. Niyamena. But this is true for everyone according to the laws of nature. Everyone's body is dead. Huh? Everyone's body is dead. Vikritasya drishtam. One sees change everywhere. Constant change means something is dying. Okay. The old is dying. Yadi yad adyantavat. Because there is a beginning and end of all things. Therefore, everything changes. So death is inevitable for everybody, and everybody is constantly dying. So you said, are you a living dead while pointing to my body? But the body is dead for everyone, right? You have said that I disregard your order. Bhartur Shasanam Aticharasi. So he says, O king, O worthy of worship, Yatra Swaswamya Bhavo Dhruva, when the conditions of servant and master are fixed, Tarhi Uchate, then one may say, Asau Vidikritya Yogaha, a person is suitable to be engaged in service. So he says, the Swaswamya Bhavo, the servant master relationship, is it constant? You know, this is a very relevant point Bharat Maharaj, Jadabharata is telling. Because Rahugana is just a provincial king. He is just a provincial king. He is just the king of the Sindhu and the Savira province. He was compared to King Bharata. Rahugana was a very, very, very small king, actually. So when Jada Bharata is asking, are you sure that the Swaswamya Bhava is eternal, or is it permanent? The master-servant relationship? Because just a few years back, I was King Bharata, and you used to come offer your obeisances to me and pay your taxes. Okay. I was your master and you are the servant. Okay. Like that, he is indicating here. And you called me as living dead. Are you sure? Everyone's body is dead only, and it's constantly dying. And you have said that I have disregarded by disregarding your order, I have disregarded the order of the master. But are you sure that the conditions of servant and master are fixed? Okay. Only then a servant can be engaged in service. So he said, you have said that I am living but dead. If you are defining me in terms of bodily identity, then living but being dead do not belong to me only, it belongs to everyone. Everything seen is a transformation, since transformation takes place at every moment with a beginning and end. Okay. And you said that I am disobeying the order of the master. The states of servant and master exist. When these are fixed, then one can say this person is fit to carry the palanquin. Or it could also mean the moment you will know now that I am a Brahmana, okay, immediately the script is flipped. Then I become the master, you, Rahuguna, the king, becomes the servant. Okay. So Uchyate can mean it is said or it is suitable. If you give up the kingdom and I obtain the kingdom, then I make you carry the palanquin and say, what is this? Huh? Like that. So are you sure that the Swaswamya Bhava is permanent? Like that he's asking. Okay. Any quick discussion points, comments, questions? We have about 12, 13 minutes. I said the next few days we will have, or this week we will have morning Bhagavatam class only till 8:15, because just give me 1 second.
You're here, huh? Okay, okay. Yeah, I just also just keep the things for some time, and
Hi, Astrology.
whenever I come, I just use this room for some time.
Classes are. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, please. Okay. Yes, Madhavi Gopi Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandath Pranam.
Prabhuji, you mentioned, like we discussed, that one should coming to the level of the audience and raising the audience to the level of the speaker. Both the things, like so,
Yeah, that
like
is one.
when
That is one thing. Where the speaker comes to the level of the audience. Another is
yeah,
and he speaks at that level, or the he pulls the audience to his level without diluting what he is speaking.
So, Prabhuji, how practically we should apply this principle when we are preaching? Because many times it happens that sometimes the crowd is not, means it's a new, and means even though we relish speaking something, deeper truths, but we restrain that, okay, they will not understand. And so now hearing this, I'm confused that really what
No, I
principle
mean
we should apply.
this is more in terms of what do you call? It depends on the expertise of the person. Okay, so it's not just a technique. It's not just a technique. It's just that how proficient is the speaker, that a proficient speaker can, without you know coming to that person's situation and talking only about mundane things, and very slowly raise him to that level. And while raising, he himself may pull himself down and just keep discussing mundane things and mundane jokes like that. Whereas uh, a proficient speaker, not just speaker, proficient practitioner of bhakti, may actually not go to that level, may present things in a serious way also, but he can still, by his purity, he can absorb that person to a higher level. Uh, so the point is ultimately it is not just speaking proficiency, it is about purity. So when the purity is there, then automatically without the person diluting the subject matter, he can pull the audience to that level.
Okay. Okay. So it will depend on the purity of the speaker and judgment of the speaker.
Yeah.
One who is very pure and intelligent will automatically be able to blend both the things in a way so that it helps the audience to move further.
Yeah. So it's not that the speaker is completely not bothered about the audience. Uh, he has that genuine desire to benefit the audience, and he understands that the way of benefiting the audience is gradually pulling them by pulling them up from where they are. Okay. So uh, rather than, and of course, it's not that he is incapable of going to their level and speaking at their level. But when the speaker understands that I don't have to do it, I don't have to do it, I can pull them up to a higher level. I am capable of doing it. When he understands that, so this should not be seen as lack of empathy from the speaker. That, oh, I don't care whether the audience understand or not. I will keep speaking on my level. If they don't understand, let them leave. It's not like that. It's not that kind of lack of empathy. It's just that the speaker understands that his capacity and his goal is very clear, that ultimately he has to pull the audience to a higher level. When he understands that, with that mood only, he does that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Correct. Okay. There is a comment here. In both cases, the goal needs to be bringing the audience to a higher level than where they are. Yeah. So this is not necessarily mm, this does not necessarily mean that one should not come down to the level of the audience and speak at their level. Okay, that is also a very, very valid way of doing it. So the point is that the speaker should clearly know, the speaker's intention should be very clear, which means to raise the audience. And the speaker should be confident enough that while going at their level, I will not get stuck up at their level rather than pulling them up. That kind of a clarity and purity the speaker should have. So then that is perfectly fine. Yeah, phalena parijiyate. It will be seen by the result. So definitely this does not indicate a lack of empathy. It's just that two different approaches, and both need purity and both need clarity of intent. Okay. So it's not one is better or the other is better. Uh, Ultimately, it's not about whether um, whether to use bow and arrow or sword here. Okay. So whether bow and arrow or sword, as long as the warrior is proficient, he can get the job done in both ways. Okay. As long as the warrior is proficient, he can get the job done either by using bow and arrow or sword. That is the most important thing. Okay. Otherwise, it does not really matter. But if the person is not proficient, okay, either bow and arrow or sword, he will mess up. Okay. He will mess up. He may end up injuring himself like that. Srinivas Prasad Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Androni Pranam, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for your
Kandak Prabhu.
talk. Prabhuji, I had a question. We see in today's world that there are many renowned speakers who give their talks in the corporate world, and
Your voice is not audible, Prabhu.
Just a minute.
Either I am not, my internet is poor or your internet is poor. I am not able to
Hare Krishna.
understand.
Is it okay now, Prabhuji?
I see you are speaking, but I am not able to hear.
Okay. Am I audible now? Hare Krishna. Am I audible, Prabhuji? Am I audible? Hare Krishna. Am I audible, Prabhuji? Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Am I audible, Prabhuji? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, can you hear my voice? Am I
Yes,
audible?
yes, you are audible, Prabhuji. Am I audible, Prabhuji?
Is my voice audible?
Yes, Prabhuji. But am I audible, Prabhuji? You're audible, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, is my voice audible?
Yes, Prabhuji. You're audible, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Am I audible,
Yeah.
Prabhuji?
Yeah. Please go ahead, Prabhu.
Yes, sorry, Prabhuji. In fact, my question was that in this today's world, there are many renowned speakers who give their talks in the corporate world, and they try to bring people to raise their consciousness to some extent, and they don't give such heavy talks. And one of my friend long back, I think 10 years back, he used to be. Following Krishna consciousness. But once a renowned speaker went to his corporate and someone asked a question that, what about eating non-veg? So that speaker did not talk much about that and he did not give the direct answer. So with the intention, with the higher perspective that if I speak something like that, many people may just discard. So he just gave a normal kind of response. But
Okay.
the devotee who was following, he called me. He said that he didn't give the right answer, and they are concerned about their personal uh, things also. So I told him that it's not like that. His mood was to give a talk to bring people to some next level. So, but in a way, he was not satisfied with that answer. So I tried to make him understand that, but somehow he could not understand. He said that uh, people speak like at their own. So how do we understand that when a speaker is his intention is right to bring people to next level, and they don't talk much about the higher things of Krishna consciousness, but their aim is to bring people to at least next level, to make them give some sukritis to raise to the next level, so that gradually they take to the process. So how do we understand? Like Mataji was asking a question, there are sometimes the people, the audience. So at least we try to bring them to the next level. So can
Yeah.
you just throw a light on how it can be?
Yeah, I will quickly end with this particular point. See,
Yes.
it depends on the particular situation that you have presented is
Mm.
he went to a corporate program.
Mm.
Okay. So in
Mm.
corporate program, everyone is expected to be an ordinary corporate kind of ordinary materialistic people.
Correct.
And he happens to be a devotee, which
Mm.
is possible, but the statistical probability is very low.
Mm.
So he has to address to the greater audience and not the one person who happens to be a devotee. So I remember a long time back, when we had gone for book distribution to a particular, we were doing it in different companies. So we used to give a short talk to their employees. So I was asked to give that particular talk, and I knew that most of them were non-vegetarians. So they asked a question that, does Bhagavad Gita say that you should not eat meat? So this was a very loaded question, and you know the audience who are there. So this is not a devotee audience, so you have to answer. The answer is actually, but in nowhere in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna directly says that you should not eat meat, actually. So I told, no, there is no place where Krishna directly says that you should not eat meat. In fact, he says that what you eat, what kind of impact it has. Okay. If you eat food, he says that he divides food into three categories. Food in the mode of goodness, food in the mode of passion, food in the mode of ignorance. And if you eat food in the mode of goodness, what kind of qualities you develop? If you eat food in the mode of passion, what kind of qualities you develop? If you eat food in the mode of ignorance, what kind of qualities you develop? So, therefore, depending on what kind of qualities you wish to develop, you eat that kind of food. Okay. So I said, in one sense, I said, actually, Krishna does not say in Bhagavad Gita that you should not eat meat. So at least that makes them, and it is not lie, because Krishna does not directly say that in Bhagavad Gita. Okay, that is implied. That is implied. Okay, but it is not explicit. So I said that it's not explicitly said, but when you say that, at least you get the audience to become attentive.
About at
Okay.
least they come to know about the three modes of things.
Yeah. So then you say that, okay, so if you eat this food, then you eat this, you develop these qualities, and they definitely know, even though they may eat meat, but they want to develop sattva guna qualities only, they know. So you are not explicitly ordering them, you should not eat meat. Rather, you say, if you eat meat, these are the qualities you develop. You eat Rajoguni food, these are the qualities you develop. You eat Sattva-guni food, these are the qualities you develop. No, you decide which qualities you want to develop and eat appropriately.
Correct.
Okay. So that way you are not. So now, if one of the audience happens to be a devotee sitting there, okay, so then he has to understand that which audience I am addressing to. So now he may say, hey, how you are telling that Krishna in Bhagavad Gita does not say that, he is not telling anyone that you should not eat meat. How can you say that? So now, so you have to understand the audience. So therefore, ultimate, as Brachandri Mataji says, that falena parichiyate, it is there in the fruit. So you know, and when the question is asked, it's a loaded question. So if you give an answer which sounds very sectarian, then people are going to get turned off. And it's not that you want to hide the truth and speak something which is just to please them. That also we don't want to do. But then you have to speak the truth in a way where the person takes one step closer to Krishna. That is very important.
Very true.
Okay, I think we will have to pause here. It's time. I have to rush.
Basically, what you said, that it needs expertise and that level of maturity to address for any speaker. That is what is mainly required, to have that expertise.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thanks a lot.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we'll end here. Thank you all very much for your patient listening and your enthusiastic participation. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Pad ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.